Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris with PearsonCopy.com, and I'm here to help your brand make more sales with email. Today, as a part of my 100 emails and 100 days breakdown challenge, I am breaking down an email from the brand Nomatic. It is a travel luggage or backpack type company. They sell travel luggage and backpacks for those who like to be nomads, basically. That's kind of implied in the name. But this is an email I got as a part of their welcome series. It's not the first one. I believe it's the third or fourth email, if I remember correctly. So that's the context of the email, and that's how we're gonna look at it. With that being said, let me go ahead and dive in and start breaking this down for you. So the first thing here is time to find your perfect bag. I think that the timing of this email, and also too as the world starts opening up after everything that's happened over the last 2 to 3 years, this is actually a pretty good subject line. I do like their headlines here down below. If you read this, check new bags off your travel checklist. I think this would probably do better as a subject line. I would A/B split test this for time to find your perfect bag versus check new bags off your travel checklist. Because if people are shopping for bags and they're about to start traveling again, or they've traveled and they come back and say, hey, we need to get different bags because we don't like our old ones, or we borrowed somebody's and we need to buy our own. This check new bags off your travel check. This speaks more to the emotion of preparing for a trip as opposed to find your perfect bag. Finding your perfect bag, I think, is a little further back in the sales process, where it's like, hey, find your perfect bag. Here's some suggestions. Here's some inspiration, which can work depending on where your customer's at in their buying process. But with the context of this being inside of a welcome series, people are interested. They're shopping. They're already in the process of shopping. They signed up because they like your brand or you offered a discount. I believe Nomatic offers some kind of discount. I don't believe that's in this email here. That's why I think it's later in the welcome series. But with that being said, the context of people already shopping for something, I would just skip the problem or the unaware stages of buying and go right to, hey, they know they have a problem. They're in the process of looking for a solution. Let's speak to that solution, right? Let's speak about that problem and to the solution that they could use and use our product to bridge that gap and get there, right? So that's what I would say here with the subject line and the headline. So yeah, I think they should just use check new bags off your travel checklist as a subject line, or at least A/B split test it to see which one actually gets more opens, clicks, and sales. The next piece here, the from name Nomatic, info@nomatic.com. So this is pretty standard when it comes to brands that don't have a front-facing person or face for their brand. They stick with their brand name, and the email address here for Nomatic is actually pretty simple, info@nomatic.com. It's easy to remember. Even if you have it saved in your contacts, if you need to email them, or if you see this in your inbox, you're going to recognize and say, oh, yep, I know what that is. I shop from that brand. I'm looking at their luggage, or I've already purchased. So yeah, this is something to keep in mind. The from name is the first thing people read. The subject line is the second when it comes to the inbox. It's from name, from email, subject line. So keep that in mind when you're making your from name, your from name and your from email is make it, if you can make it feel like it's coming from a real person or at least a brand that somebody's connected with, they're going to get opened more often because that relationship is there and that trust has been built. As we move down the email, one thing I noticed here is Nomatic does use quite a bit of images, not like product images pulled from like their store or something, but actually designed images that are laid into this email, not pulled through code or anything like that. So with that being said, I didn't see a view in browser button or link anywhere in this email. So if you do design first emails and you like to use a lot of design and layouts for your emails, I would suggest putting a view in browser, just in case the email provider that you send to takes the reader and distorts the email, or lets the reader essentially makes it harder for the reader to read the email, distorts the email, doesn't load the images, just makes it harder for them and more friction for them to actually get into your email. So if you put view in browser, a link here at the top with some words and just say, hey, click here to view in browser, it makes it easier. They can read and look at your whole email. The links and everything still work. And it just makes it easier for them if their email provider gets in the way of that. Next thing, Nomatic, their brand name, and their brand logo here. They actually put this in the first image. It's not separate from the header. So as soon as you get into this email and scroll down, you see the brand. It's like cool, and it's not very intrusive. It actually blends. It doesn't blend in, but it does stick out. But it isn't one of those things where it's like, hey, you're here to read this brand name. Actually, what Nomatic does here is they make their brand name a little smaller. They do put it at the top. They don't make a header, so they don't like bring attention to it. But it is there, so if people see, they say Nomatic. Yep, that's what I signed up for. It lets them know they're in the right place. What they do emphasize, though, and this is probably the piece, like I said earlier, it's probably my favorite piece of the email. Check new bags off your travel checklist. They let you get right into the offer immediately, or at least into the promise, or into what you're going to get for reading this email, which I absolutely like. Getting people from opening email to reading to buying as quickly as possible. However, also giving your sales message to the point where they feel good about doing it. That's a big deal. So that balance, walking that tightrope between selling right out the gate and say, hey, buy my stuff, and then but also to addressing objections, talking about essentially all the reasons, the features and benefits they should buy, and then how to buy, where to buy, etc. Things like that. So I think Nomatic does a good job here with this email doing that, and this is probably my favorite piece of the email. And then a feature here, obviously, get free shipping on your first order. So this is their offer. Instead of it being a percentage off, which I think I mentioned earlier in this video, instead of being a percentage off, they do free shipping on your first order, which means first batch that you order, first pieces or products you order, you get free shipping, which is great. That's a great feature. As we move down the email, they tie back into still looking for the perfect travel luggage. This, I think the concept here, the check new bags off your travel checklist. This is a more definitive, real action for the customer. They can actually do this, whereas find your perfect travel luggage or travel bag is not something as concrete. It's more what do you want to say? It's more abstract, right? So finding your perfect piece of luggage or perfect bag is more abstract because there's a lot of opinions, decisions, thoughts, feelings. It's not very concrete. But when you say check new bags off your travel checklist, this is very concrete. You can actually go to your checklist and check a box saying, yes, I have my new bags. I've ordered them, I have them, I've packed them, I've put stuff in them, whatever those things are. So this is definitely more action oriented and more concrete. And this is another reason why I like it as a subject line. So when you tie back into still looking for the perfect travel luggage, you go from abstract here with the subject line, concrete with your headline here, and then back to abstract. So what that does is it kind of jerks the reader around a little bit. So, and that's one of the other reasons why I think this should be the subject line, and the concept of the whole email is being able to check that box off on your list that you have the bags, and you can still use the perfect luggage as a language, but the idea of actually having an action the customer can take once they buy on the other side of that purchase is definitely helpful. It's a version of future pacing, right? Is every time you check something, like if you have a to-do list, every time you check something off the to-do list, you feel a little bit better because you're getting the list done. This is future pacing, and it's also putting that idea and the actual action for the customer inside their brain, so they can actually think, oh yeah, I want to check that off my list, I need to buy this, and it gives them a motive to finish what they started, which is opening this email and shopping. So yeah, there's some more thought there. And then they just go into check out our best sellers. Something here that I found some potential friction, but this is something you could test, is saying that you're going to find your perfect travel luggage, yet you're going to sell people the best sellers, which is what everybody else buys. So how can something be the perfect travel luggage for me, which I may travel differently at person A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. They may travel differently, do different things, but I travel differently than them as well. So how is that perfect for me? But a jack of all trade is perfect for everybody. I think that when you say perfect travel luggage, it's more of perfect to me is more like customized exactly to how I like to travel. And that could be some friction point. It may not be, this could be totally off, but that's something I would test and consider is if you're going to claim it's the perfect one, then it needs to be perfect for each individual, not just traveling in general. And that could cause some friction here of like, well, I like this pack, but I want an extra pocket, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. Then it's not perfect. It's not customized. So that's another reason I think that this check new bags off your travel checklist would actually be a great concept to run with on this. Replace the subject line, sell the best sellers, but spend a little bit more time. Cause like let's see here, starting at 2030. So it has all the features here, but it doesn't really talk about the benefits of this Nomatic travel pack. And I think they do the same thing with each one, as they just talk about all the features with each item. And so that's something else too that brands miss is they talk about the features like a zipper, a pocket, how much you can hold in the bag, etc. For example, like in Nomatic here, they have, this is the bag you would use for 1 to 3 days. This is the, where is it? Yeah. And here's the set you'd use for 3 to 7 days, or the bag you use for 3 to 7. And here's a suitcase you'd use for 7+ days. So those are features, but that doesn't paint the picture in my mind of what 7 days of travel actually looks like or what it feels like, right? So like the difference between traveling like a weekend trip, like get on a plane or go for a road trip, travel for 4 or 5 hours, stop, stay somewhere for overnight and then come back. That experience is way different than getting on a plane, going, 6 hours and stopping, staying for 3 to 4 days, maybe 7 days plus, or sorry, 3 to 5 days, right? And then coming back on the plane. That's different than also too staying somewhere for more than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time. Those are different experiences that you're going to have and different reasons why you would need the pieces of luggage you're going to get. So with that being said, there's so much they can do. There's a lot of opportunity here for each of these pieces of luggage and products that they could expand on, which is like one feature could have multiple benefits. And pulling those stories, like I've said in other breakdowns, is going to forums, going to product reviews, going and talking to customers. Um, Heck, go for travel trips and ask people about their luggage while you're at the airport. Like, just say, hey, what do you like about that luggage? What do you don't like? I just bought my new one. I don't know if I like it yet. Can you, like, what are some of your top 10? Like, what's your top 5 things you look for in luggage? And just talk to people and get that information from them and use that to sell this travel bag. The fact that it's a 1 to 3 dayer, that tells you a lot. It's like, okay, 1 to 3 days, that's a couple pairs of clothes, maybe a computer, things like that, right? But this 20 liter, 30 liter, whatever, most people don't understand what that means. What they want to know is, if I take this bag, can I stay in Vegas for 2 nights, 3 days, 2 nights, and not have to? And do I have room for a souvenir? Do I have to buy more stuff because I didn't bring enough clothes? Like, those objections could be handled with benefit focused copy as opposed to just feature. Putting that in context and giving the customer something concrete to actually hold on to when they're making this decision helps a ton when it comes to the buying process. It uh, gives them a reason to buy because they feel more confident with their purchase and they trust you more. A lot of brands don't do this. A handful do, and that's one of the many reasons why the brands that are successful do so well, is because they do put this concrete ideas and actions in their customers' hands and say, hey, this is how you use our products and this is what you can expect from them, as opposed to just saying, hey, it's a 30-liter bag and you can use it for 3 days and not have to run out of space. Like, that's great. That's a good feature benefit, but it's not actually dimensionalizing it for the customer. So that's something to keep in mind when selling, even selling backpacks or travel luggage. That type of stuff matters. And so, like I mentioned before, Nomatic, as we move down the email, the best sellers and stuff, they go through the 1 to 3 days, 3 to 7, and their 7+ days. And they basically just talk about the features in it and how it can help a little bit. So there's a couple benefits. There are a couple benefits, but it does focus mostly on just the features of it. And they expect the customer to do the work to connect that to their own traveling, which, another point, going very, very general with your copy typically doesn't sell well, because you're making the customer do the work instead of doing it for them. So with your copy, you can actually do the work of putting the idea and the thought in their head and get them to feel things about traveling or thinking about traveling that otherwise they wouldn't bring up because they're just shopping, right? They're not thinking about their next trip. They're not on their next trip. Maybe they are, but they don't have those visceral feelings and thoughts of, I ran out of space. I need another pair of jeans, and I don't have, like, I didn't bring them because I thought that I didn't need them, and I don't have space. I didn't have space, and this is the only luggage I have. Something like that, right? There's an objection or some kind of situation you can talk to, or talk into. So stuff like that. It just makes it a little more human, and it gives customers a reason to trust you because you're giving them reasons to think about their trip and their luggage a little bit more deeply than just, hey, I like the color of this, I like the handle, and I like the pocket. It's like, okay, great, but how's it going to help them, right? How's it going to help them? How's it not going to help certain travelers? Because also too deterring. So saying, hey, this is a 7+ dayer, but if you're a 7+ dayer who does X, Y, and Z, this is not the suitcase for you. That can do it. That can help a ton too when it comes to selling, because now you're not getting refunds on the back end as often because you're not selling to the people who can't use the luggage or they don't like it, right? So deterrence is also a thing that you can use in copy when it comes to selling with email. So let's keep moving down here. And I guess one more thing here. They have 3 products here that they suggest based on the day span, which is great. I think that's a great move. And then after that, they say get check-in. So that's the seat. So each of them have a CTA for the type of luggage. And then they reiterate the free continental US shipping when you order today. So that's different than just get free shipping on your first order. So here's some contrast here, or maybe some conflict more so, is get free shipping on your first order. And then they clarify and say free continental US shipping when you order today. So this right here is it's a friction point, because if I see both those and say, okay, how do I get free shipping? Like, if this is what it actually is and up top is not it, or if it's the other way, then I'm confused. I'm not going to buy it because I don't know if I can trust this, or I'm going to have to shop, put some items in the cart, go check out, and if it's not what I want, I'm going to leave. And so you're just giving them another reason to leave the cart, as opposed to making this consistent and taking that barrier away from basically removing that barrier so they actually buy. And then down here, one idea I had here, these are the 3 items that were just shown in this email, is what if you made this a bundle? What if you had all 3 items in one bundle and said, hey, for the price of this, You can get all these for 20% off if you bought the other three individually or something like that. I bet people would buy this bundle, and it adds revenue, adds sales, it increases your average order value, and it increases your lifetime value as well, just out the gate. So people like to buy bundles, and if the people that are buying or customers that are buying your products are travelers, they probably do 1 to 3, 3 to 7, 7+ day trips throughout the year. So like, why not bundle and get them into three of your products instead of just one at a time? So you do a bundle package here, I think, in a CTA of like, hey, if you want all of these, or if you do more traveling than just what each product does, then you can get the bundle here for 20% off, and here's how it works. So that's one idea I think that Nomatic could do here with these products. And then the rest of the email here: life on the move, their tagline, socials, footer, menu, and then footer information. So that's pretty much it for this email. The two big insights I want to point out again before we get off this breakdown is, one, just the consistency of the concept. So check new bags off your travel checklist. This is a concrete action. This is something that you can imagine. This is something the customer can do after they buy. Whereas time to find your perfect bag is a little more abstract, it's a little more indirect when it comes to selling, but you jump right into the direct sales process. So that leap between those two, it's not a big gap, but it might jar some people and say, oh, whoa, I was just shopping, I'm not ready to buy yet. And it might put them off. So that's something to keep in mind too, is your subject line sets the frame and it hooks people. And then you deliver on that with your headline, your copy, and the promise that you made in your subject line, you deliver in your email. And there's a little bit of friction here. The second thing, I really like how Nomatic used the products and broke them out based on the days. And on top of that, I think that they could use they could create a bundle here of buying all three for 20% off if you bought all three individually. You get 20% off if you buy them all three at once. And yeah, you might not get a ton of sales from it, but the ones you do are going to cover. They're gonna add revenue to the bottom line, and they're going to basically cover the people that don't buy any individual item and they bounce and they just leave. You're going to recover some of that revenue from spending to get this out there because they're buying the bundle because it's a higher price point, and it raises your average order value, which means you have more margin and more space to spend on front end ads. You can pay more for customers, which means you can outspend your competition to get more customers in your business. And also too, if they buy all three, then they could be put into a VIP program or something and say, hey, now that you've spent this much money with us, you're VIP. Here's how it works. You're going to get special treatment. You're exclusive. And whenever we do events, accessories, whatever we do, you're going to know about it first before anybody else. That type of exclusivity definitely helps too. So those are the two big insights. I hope these helped you think of ideas you can make more sales with email for your brand. Please go check out my other videos. Like I said at the beginning of this, I'm doing 100 emails in 100 days as a breakdown challenge to help brands like yours make more sales with email. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.